it's Rachel with Theodore, and today we're going to review stand. I know Theodore has done this before, but stand is important to learn. The most practical use is when you need to take him to the vet for just his yearly checkup or anything else that he might need, where he needs to stand so the vet can do a good visual inspection of him and also a physical examination on him, check his health, check anything that he might need to check for Theodore. And also, since he's a Cocker Spaniel, it's good for him to know it for when he gets groomed. Because I know that the Spaniels do need the hair trim, haircuts, and all that, and it makes the life a lot easier on the groomer if he can stand well and knows that command. Now he's a little bit distracted. He just saw Myra leave, so he's kind of heartbroken. And we do have some distractions here, but that's okay. We'll work with him. It's important to, right now, I'm going to be down on his level when I'm working with him and giving him the command. And also, I know what Stephanie talks a lot about is catching him in the action and rewarding him. So, like if he's just standing around during this training or around the house for you and you see it, or if I see it here, I'm just going to give him the treat and tell him, good stand, Theodore. That way he hears the word and he starts associating the word with the action a bit more. So now that he's sitting, it works out because I can, well, now he stands up. So for example, right here, he's standing, but I didn't tell him to. So I'm going to go down and offer him a treat. Good stand, oh. Alright, well he's sitting, he can't make up his mind here. So that's fine, and I know Theodore's not really treat motivated anyway. He doesn't like what I have here, but so give him just lots of praise and all that. So right now, good stand. Alright, well he sat down as soon as I touched him, so that is another reason why we want to teach the command stand. So if I'm down here with Theodore and have him sit, usually you use a treat to bait him out. But Theodore doesn't care much for treats, and so that's not really going to work. So I'm just going to give him a light tug on the collar, just a little encouragement, and use my hand and put it underneath his flank, or what's called the tuck up, where his leg and his, the area between his leg and his rib cage. And I'm just going to give him the command stand. So Theodore, stand. Good stand, Theodore. Good stand. Good job. Alright, he did really well there. All I needed to do was give him a light touch, which is exactly what you want. A lot of times, especially with bigger dogs, people will, put their arm under there and hoist them up and say stand, which that kind of defeats the purpose because we want him to do the action. So just a little tap or a little poke under there gives him the reminder and kind of gives him the nudge that he needs to stand up and get his tushy off of the ground. So I'm going to pull him over here, have him sit. Theodore, sit. Good boy. All right, Theodore, stand. Stand. Good stand, Theodore. Good stand. All right, now for that one, he did really well. He was super responsive, and I kept my hand just lightly touching on his belly there while I praised him and told him good stand. That way, he's standing the whole time while I am giving him the praise, so he understands that's what it's for, and also while I'm saying good stand, because that's when we're reiterating the word, so he associates the word with the action. Because last time he stood up, and as soon as I praised him, he sat down. So right now, catching in the action, I'm going to praise him for this, and I'm going to have my hand just resting under his belly to keep him standing while I'm giving him praise for standing. Good stand, Theodore. Good stand. What a good boy. Good stand. Good job. He's doing really well there. What we want to work up to is doing a stand with stay. Basically doing that now. You would tell him to stand, tell him to stay. Oh. Theodore, stand. Good stand. Stay. Theodore, stand. Good stand. Good stand, Theodore. Stay. All right. I can see that that is something we can work on right now. Hopefully when you practice at home, he's a little less distracted while he's learning the command right now. And once he gets really good at that, then we can work on getting some distance. Because ideally, you should be able to get about this far away from him with him still standing. But as soon as I tell him to stay and step away, he sits. I mean, that's common. A lot of times we do just the sit stays, but stand stays are important too. You want to be able to get about this far away from him, so if you do have him at the vet's office or at the groomer's, we can get some distance. So the vet will have room to get in between you and Theodore to give him a checkup. And if a groomer is telling him to stand and she needs to step back to take a look at his haircut, see if he needs to be touched up at all, she can do that with him standing up so she can get a good view instead of him sitting or laying down. He seems to be really responsive just with a gentle touch, but what you can do if he's not doing it so much at home is get a second leash, and you can wrap it around his belly like this. Obviously it won't be attached to his collar, but that way if you have two people, one person can be in front giving him the command and the other person can be standing far back, and just give him a little tug up like this to help remind him, and also to get him to stand for longer durations of time, because with that little reminder there, or if he starts to sit, you can, your helper can just give a little tug and that will remind him to stand up and keep his tushy off the ground. So he's doing really well. I'm going to try it some more with just the command to reiterate that for him now. So Theodore, come here. Sit. Good sit. Good sit. Theodore, stand. Stand. Good stand. Good stand, Theodore. Good job. One more time. Sit. Come here. Theodore, sit. Good sit. Theodore, stand. Stand. Good stand, Theodore. Good stand. Alright, I can tell he's getting the hang of it. He's really responsive, which is great. Makes my job easy to train him and your job easy to practice. So keep up the great work with Theodore at home. This was Rachel and Theodore working on stand.